On the outside, Rickie Fowler looked like a golfer clawing his way back into contention at the St. Jude Championship. Behind the scenes, he was managing a health battle that had lasted more than 2 years and would end only with surgery. As the FedExCup Playoffs reached their most pressure-filled stage, a report revealed the hidden reason behind the gap between his talent and his results. The news broke on August 2, 2026, when PGA Tour Radio play-by-play announcer Doug Bell spoke during an appearance on CBS Sports HQ. According to Bell, Rickie Fowler, a 6-time PGA Tour winner, has been dealing with a serious sinus infection for more than 2 years, and the only option remaining is surgery once the season concludes. 2 years of recurring sinus infections have forced Rickie Fowler to schedule surgery after the season. The report was carried by the Mirror's Sam Frost, and it added detail that fans had never heard before. Bell laid out the situation in plain terms. He's had a serious sinus infection for more than 2 years, and after this season concludes, they've tried all the antibiotics and medicine. They're going to have to do surgery, Bell said. He then described how the illness had weighed on the player over a long stretch of time. He said he's not looking forward to it, and it really has held him back, and that's kind of unknown. We didn't know that about Rick, Bell added. The timeline matters here. This was not a short-term illness or a single bad week. For more than 2 years, antibiotics and medicine had been tried, and none of them delivered a permanent solution. Surgery, scheduled for the off-season that begins at the conclusion of the FedExCup Playoffs later this month, is now described as the last remaining option. The effects of the infection reached directly into his performance on the course. The recurring problem left Rickie Fowler feeling loopy, caused him to struggle with his short putts, and brought on high fevers during competition. The clearest example came at the 2026 Truist Championship in May. A sinus infection paired with a fever of 102 to 103 degrees affected his opening round, and he admitted before recovering that he was not sure he could hit short putts. Even so, the outcome that week was one of his best of the season. In May, he finished T2 at the Truist Championship despite having a fever and a sinus infection. Rickie Fowler described that week in his own words while he was still playing. I was battling a bit of a sinus infection early in the week. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, probably 102, 103, Fowler said during the Truist Championship. I was a little loopy and didn't quite feel like my head was in the right spot on my body. So I tried to fight through yesterday the best I could. That second-place finish came at Quail Hollow, and it stood as evidence of how much he was managing while still competing near the top of a leaderboard. The Truist Championship was not the only event touched by the illness. Reports suggest the California native also suffered in May and June while teeing up at Muirfield Village because of the infection. During that stretch, his voice was more congested and coarse than usual. The infection also became a suspected factor in a series of disappointing results. Fans suspected he missed the cuts at the Memorial, Charles Schwab, and U.S. Open because of his health. Taken together, these events built a picture of a player whose body was working against him week after week. The sinus infection was also not the first health issue to interrupt his career. The season before had brought its own physical problems. During the 2025 season, Rickie Fowler dealt with pain and inflammation in his left shoulder. For most of the 2025 season, Fowler was on medication every week to overcome bursitis and fluid buildup in his shoulder. That condition affected his performance and eventually required surgery. He made a strong comeback at the WM Phoenix Open this year after a rough 2025 because of pain and inflammation in his left shoulder. The result is a pattern of 2 consecutive seasons shaped by health issues, with another break now possible once this season ends. The physical struggles arrived during a long stretch without a victory. His most recent win came at the 2023 Rocket Classic, which he secured through an intense playoff. The 2023 Rocket Classic title, won through an intense playoff, remains Fowler's last win. That drought had reached 3 years, and the underlying medical issues now offered an explanation for the distance between his ability and his recent finishes. The 2026 Rocket Classic at Detroit Golf Club carried extra weight because it was the final edition of the event. Rickie Fowler opened strong and stayed in contention before finishing tied for 8th. He also spoke about the emotion of saying goodbye to a tournament tied to his last victory. It's definitely been a bummer to kind of come into this knowing it was the last one, Fowler said. It's been fun for me to have a partnership with Rocket and see this event make its way here because that was always a dream of theirs to have an event back in Detroit. And to see it continue to grow over the years, I felt like it just kept getting bigger and better. The reason for the farewell was a change in sponsorship. Title sponsor Rocket Companies parted ways with the tournament, and the Detroit stop has already been replaced. The Rocket will be replaced by a new event in Napa, California from 29th July to 1st August, sponsored by the Japanese firm Sampo. For Rickie Fowler, that meant one of his favorite events would not return to the schedule next year. Even while managing all of this, Rickie Fowler focused on his execution rather than any deeper flaw in his game. Speaking during the Rocket Classic, he explained his view of where his game stood. If I needed to work on some stuff, I probably wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now. A lot of execution. I mean, I can make plenty of putts, and I've driven it well enough, hit plenty of good iron shots. Just executing properly and maybe a few less mistakes will be in a good spot. That mindset carried him into the postseason with a clear plan. The structure of the FedExCup Playoffs framed everything that followed. The top 70 golfers qualify for the playoffs, and the St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind in Memphis is the first of 3 postseason events beginning on Thursday, August 13. From there, the top 50 golfers advance to the BMW Championship. Finally, the top 30 golfers reach the Tour Championship at East Lake for a chance to be the season champion. Rickie Fowler entered the postseason at number 28 in the standings, which placed him in position to make a run at all 3 events. His play in Memphis kept him moving in the right direction. Fowler bounced back after an up-and-down second round to post a 4-under-66 at the St. Jude Championship. The star heads into the final round at 3 under par with a chance to notch another top 20 performance in Memphis. With the BMW Championship nearly secured, the remaining question was whether he could hold on to a place inside the top 30. As a reminder, the top 30 golfers qualify to play the Tour Championship at East Lake following the BMW Championship. The margin, though, was thin. The latest projections placed Rickie Fowler at number 31, the first golfer outside the Tour Championship field. That standing meant he still had work to do in the final round at the St. Jude Championship and again the following week at the BMW Championship. A strong finish would push him inside the cutoff, while a poor result could drop him further down the list. The situation carried an echo from a year earlier. At the 2025 BMW Championship at Caves Valley, Rickie Fowler stood inside the top 30 bubble as he walked the 14th fairway in the final round, positioned for his first East Lake appearance in 2 years. He then missed the next 2 greens, and a bogey followed by a double bogey on the par 4 15th pushed him out of the top 30. He closed with 3 straight pars for a final round 69 and a tie for 7th, and he finished at number 32 in the FedEx Cup, which ended his playoff run. Rickie Fowler described that collapse honestly afterward. Obviously bummed, Fowler said after the final round. I knew what I needed to do, really just made a poor swing. I just needed to give myself a little bit more time and get fully committed to what I was trying to do. That experience made the current bubble battle in Memphis familiar territory, and it raised the stakes on every shot. Rickie Fowler was not the only player under pressure in the final round. He was paired with his good friend Jordan Spieth, who arrived in Memphis in a difficult spot of his own. Jordan Spieth was ranked number 54 and had gone winless for more than 4 years. He needed to climb into the top 50 to reach the BMW Championship and to lock up spots in next season's signature events. It was the second straight year that Jordan Spieth found himself on the bubble heading into the postseason. Jordan Spieth started the week with a strong round. He opened with a bogey-free 65 that tied him for the lead alongside several other players, then followed it with a 69. Despite the fast start, the projections still had him on the wrong side of the cut as the weekend continued, which kept his advancement in doubt heading into the final round. Jordan Spieth spoke about his outlook after his opening round, describing a calmer state of mind than in previous seasons. I just feel like, as I just mentioned, I'm just in a very different place about the game of golf than I was the last couple seasons heading into this event. Again, if it's going to work out, great. If it doesn't, I know next year is going to be an awesome year for me. So it takes a lot of the stress off of this week, Spieth said. He was the only player among the top 70 qualifiers who had yet to record a top 10 finish this year. Yet he pointed to how he felt about his game rather than his results. Everything now pointed toward the final round at the St. Jude Championship. That round would determine whether Rickie Fowler could advance comfortably and strengthen his hold on a Tour Championship spot, and whether Jordan Spieth could survive the top 50 cut and extend his season. The two friends walking the course together in Memphis each faced a different version of the same pressure with a place in the next event on the line. For Rickie Fowler, the result in Memphis in the following week at the BMW Championship would settle where his season went next. Waiting beyond all of it is the surgery that has been scheduled for the conclusion of the FedExCup Playoffs later this month. The operation aimed at ending a sinus infection that has followed him for more than 2 years.